Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we do in fact have coffee, though it's looking a little more like dessert today because I did decide to make a cookie dough flavored cold brew. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the brand Torani, but it is a coffee syrup flavor that I just tend to find when I go to different places like TJ Maxx and Marshall's. But when I used to work at a coffee shop forever long ago, we used to have the Torani syrups. Now, I will say, in my personal opinion, do I feel like some of the flavors have changed? Yes. Do I feel like they've added some really great flavors? Also, yes. So when I used to work at my very first coffee shop job, it was literally probably 24 years ago. It's been somewhere like that, 24 to 22 years ago. Still have the shirt. I think I've worn it on this channel before. If not, I guess it will be upcoming soon. However, it's just where I discovered the Torani flavorings, and so anytime I find a unique one, sometimes even World Market will have them or what have you, but we are Coffee, Books, and Rain, so I thought I would talk a little bit about the coffee flavors that I tend to like when I actually do a flavor. I rarely do a flavor. Today I just was feeling like I wanted something sweet, and so I had previously made like a decaf cold brew. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but sometimes in the evenings I just really want some coffee, and ta-da! I made some decaf cookie dough cold brew, and that is what I'm currently drinking as my quote-unquote dessert. As we talk about The Girl with No Reflection. Now, this is a book that I thought I had been hearing some about. I haven't been hearing as much lately, but it has only just recently released as of, it looks like, August 6th. So a little bit earlier this month. And it's not a heavy-hitting book. It's definitely a YA kind of romance. It is a little bit romantasy, but not in the same way I would put like Fourth Wing or things of that nature. But is it cute? And the answer is yes. Does it have a fairly good premise? I would do a wibble wobble on that. I would kind of, it's a pretty decent premise, although there's some fudging in there. Trying to get it to work is where the fudging is. I'm not saying like she's like fudging on details or anything. However, this book is The Girl with No Reflection by Kesha Chow, and it released August 6th of 2024. It is a fantasy YA romance, and it is considered a mythology and retelling according to Goodreads. Now, personally, I don't know which mythology or retelling, but I'm not incredibly proficient in some of the more Asian mythologies, and I wish I did know more of those, so I think I need to do better at learning some of those. I will say there was one called The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by, I believe it was Axio. I loved that book. I loved the premise behind it. I loved some of the mythology behind it, some of the lore behind it. Gorgeously done book. And I didn't feel like I needed to know the lore in order to understand what was going on. It kind of had a Spirited Away vibe of being in the spirit realm, trying to return to the human realm. But that is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. That is not this book. So let's dive into this book a little bit, shall we? A young woman, chosen as the crown prince's bride, must travel to the royal palace to meet her new husband. But her world is shaken when she discovers the dark truth the royal family has been hiding for centuries. In this lush fantasy debut, perfect for fans of Song of Silver, Flame Like Night, and Violet Maid of Thorns. And I am so sorry if I do butcher any of these names. I truly do wish I were better at pronouncing more of these Asian names, so I do apologize ahead of time. Princess Ying Yu, believed in love once upon a time. Yet when she was chosen to wed the crown prince, Ying's dreams of a fairy tale marriage quickly fell apart. Her husband-to-be is cold and indifferent, confining Ying to her room for reasons he won't explain. Worse still are the rumors that swirl around the imperial, whispers of 7 other royal brides who, after their own weddings, mysteriously disappeared. Left alone with only her reflection for company, Ying begins to see things, strange things, movements in the corner of her mirror, colorful lights upon its surface. And when, on the eve of her wedding, she unwittingly tears open a gateway, she's pulled into the mirror world. So I'm going to kind of stop there because I feel as though if I continue reading, it's going to give you a lot of detail regarding this book. And I'm going to go ahead and say that, like, we don't even get some of that backstory when the book starts. We only get kind of Ying almost kind of going crazy by confronting her reflection. That's the very beginning of the book. So we don't even really know this other stuff that the summary sets up for us. I am not an individual who often reads the summaries before I dive into a book. I love a beautiful cover. I love a great story. And I liked that this book had some, or has some, of those Asian mythologies, Asian retellings. I love learning about mythologies of other cultures, especially in the way that YA tends to bring it to us sometimes. Now, I know it's not the best way, but sometimes just the familiarity of having heard a story before will then intrigue me to want to know more and to dive further into it. I think curiosity is a wonderful thing, and I think it's especially, like, when it comes to myth and legend, to lore and to cultural, like I guess it's, yeah, the foundations of culture and the kind of their own sort of urban legends, I guess you could say. I like seeing it through this lens. It's one of my favorite ways. But I think reading this summary kind of sets me up for thinking I'm going to get certain things at the beginning of this book that I didn't get. I do get this perception that Ying is, she knows she's about to marry the prince. She's kind of excited about it, but she's a little, like, nervous about it. I think more than anything is she does seem to come from a family that's, they are well-to-do, because of course I don't think she would be able to marry the prince if they weren't. So they must have some sort of, like, higher class in their, like, citizenship. However, we do encounter at the very beginning her reflection is trying to come out of the mirror, and she is shattering mirrors around her in order to prevent this quote-unquote monster from coming through. And no one around her is really kind of understanding what is going on. They just think, oh, she must be nervous about the wedding, and she doesn't really have anyone she can talk to about what's going on. So we do come to find out that the royal family has this kind of prophecy, and they have this past, this history, where other brides have been taken, other brides have pretty much mysteriously disappeared, and now it's come down to Ying. And she was the one who could possibly fulfill this prophecy. So, of course, we do kind of have that little bit of the quote-unquote chosen one. Not always my favorite trope, but we do have it here. And we also see Ying travel to the mirror world. And in the mirror world, they do similar things to what we do, but they only have to mirror us when we're on the other side of the mirror. That is their function. However, when we are not in front of a mirror, they don't have to be there, and they get to live their own lives of whatever they want to do. And they can shapeshift, and apparently they are a little more immortal. They, once their current charge, the current person that they are imitating, their current reflection passes away, they are then able to become someone else. Well, Ying's reflection wants to swap places with her, wants to come into this mortal realm, and wants to do some pretty bad things, in my personal opinion. But I think if you read the book, you would also be of the same opinion. So Ying is trying to convince the prince on both sides. Now, Mirror Prince and Real Prince, Mirror Prince actually believes her. Not only has he been with her like reflection, he kind of understands that her reflection counterpart does have some of those sort of like tendencies of, I guess, being crazy, or I guess being slightly more mean, to say the least, especially if she's going into this rage of trying to off people. However, the real world prince, he is maybe not so easily convinced until he actually can see some things going wrong with the reflections, like not being present when they're supposed to be present, and some beasts that are like supposed to be almost mythology beasts. They're not supposed to be real because they only exist in the mirror realm. So I would kind of equate them to, like, think of like cryptids whenever like you see a Yeti or a Bigfoot. Well, they exist on the mirror side of the realm, but they don't exist over here unless something happens, unless that veil is weakened in a certain spot. And so that's when he starts to believe that something's going down. And now they have to start visiting these different temples in order to find more information about what's going on with regards to this prophecy and who is the one who can end it and those sorts of things. I don't want to give too many spoilers. Again, this book is brand new. But I will say there were moments that I definitely felt that YA vibe, that I definitely felt that, like, what I would say is a teen angsty vibe, and I kind of wish I didn't. I mean, if these two individuals are supposed to be married or supposed to be getting married, then I would equate them to being individuals of consenting age. I would put them into a 17, 18-year-old range in my personal thoughts. And if I'm putting them into that age range, then I need their actions to be that of individuals who are actually ready for mature conversation, mature thought, mature action. And so I think that's where I had some dissonance with some of their words, and some of their actions were very much what I would consider YA. Definitely people who were not ready for any sort of mature life-changing decisions, such as getting married and that sort of thing. Maybe in the realm of high school dating, but maybe not so much ready for the marriage. And so I think that's where I was having a little bit of that dissonance with regards to trying to say, okay, she's the chosen one, but this is supposed to be her betrothed, and technically they were already got married, but he accidentally married her reflection instead. And I don't think that's spoilers because that's the very beginning of the book. So those are my thoughts, though. That's why I went ahead and gave this book 4 stars. Like, I don't think it's bad. I just think that there was a little bit of dissonance with it with regards to some of, like, the words and their actions, and needing a little bit more time to actually grow up with regards to how they conveyed themselves. That was where I was having some issue, is like, she's supposed to be the chosen one and she's still acting like XYZ. So that's my personal thought is, and maybe you won't have the same opinion if you read this book, and that's okay. That's why we have these conversations. For me, It felt a little up and down with action. It would go a little fast, and then it would be kind of slow, and they'd just kind of be in the woods, and then something would happen, but it would be slow again. So I will say the pacing for me was also a little off, but I still feel like it was a solid 4 stars. I enjoyed myself. It's not a super heavy lift. I think it was about 350 pages. Let's see what my tablet says. I want to try to give you the correct information. Of course, you're always welcome to go and look it up yourselves, but oh, this actually says the Kindle edition was 496 pages. However, I don't remember my electronic ebook version of it being 496 pages. I think when I last checked mine on my phone, it told me I had 345 pages. So that's what I'm saying, is like my phone, where I was reading it, said 345 pages to get through. However, according to Goodreads, it says 496 pages. So I don't know where the other 150 pages are. I don't know what the other 150 pages are, but I do feel like I got the full story. I do feel like it was pretty good. I was pretty intrigued by it, but I'm not always into YA romance so much. I thought they did pretty well. Definitely was rooting for more of the mirror prince. I was hoping that real life prince would get his act together and be more like mirror prince. And I think there was just, I think that's what they were trying to show, is like, even though they're reflections, they're not always going to be, like, twins are not always going to act the same either. But anyway, I just wanted to bring you guys this book because I had a pretty good time reading it over the weekend, and I think this one took me a couple days to get through, but again, I was having issues with some of the pacing. I was having a little bit of issue with some of the dialogue, just simply because, like I was referencing, is, for me, if you're going to tell me it's a young adult romance, I need their actions, like their words, to sound like someone who is mature enough to be someone who is getting married, like of that age. But it sounded more like these individuals like were acting younger and petulant and kind of, I don't know, at times a little spoiled, at times a little I don't know, angsty is just really the word that kind of comes to mind. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll like and subscribe, and I hope you'll stick around for more in the future. And I will see you guys on the next page. I hope you have a great one. Bye.